Hello, viewers. I'm Vibhuti Jha. This is Jaipur Dialogue USA. Welcome to the show. As always, I request please like, subscribe, and support our channel. Give your feedback. We value your responses. Today, I wanted to talk to you about a rather peculiar situation India is going through, Bharat is going through. Those of you who know me and heard me before, I have always proclaimed that this 21st century belongs to Sanatan Dharma and Bharat. The question is whether we will be able to take the messaging forward or the agenda forward or not. Prime Minister has already declared his intent for 2035 and 2047. That's a global declaration Prime Minister has made. But the path to future is never in a smooth straight line. It moves through many pitfalls, many traps, and many trappings set by foreign countries, foreign entities, or those who don't wish Bharat and Sanatan well. In that connection, as you know, Jaipur Dialogue is hosting this annual session in November 7th, 8th, and 9th in Jaipur, which is titled Shatru Bodh. So, how do we analyze that scenario? So, a couple of things that have happened. You knew about it that NATO leaders, European leaders, all assembled in Washington, D.C., with Mr. Trump lining up to somehow save Ukraine from Russian attacks. You also know that a major summit happened in Alaska. Following that, there was a very interesting statements made by three people, and they are important, very important for India to consider. Peter Navarro, who is supposed to be very close to Mr. Trump, made a very strong statement in which he clearly castigated India relationship with Russia and buying of oil, as if India was responsible for continuation of this war in Ukraine. Nothing can be more ridiculous than that. As the saying goes, you always take advantage of the market opportunity that arises because of geopolitical plays of powers that be. Therefore, US is following a policy which is which is right in the open and in public. They are not daring to punish China for the trade for oil buying from Russia, which is the largest oil buyer from Russia, China. US is not daring to uh, put higher tariffs on China. But India, yes. Why is it so? Why is Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, who has been repeatedly saying that we will crush China, Russia, and India for buying oil from Russia, right? So this is what is important to bear in mind. These are the elements which is not secret, which is right out in the open. Combine that with a very tragic statement made by Mr. Trump himself, asking American companies not to hire Indians for their jobs. It throws up a very different challenge. It throws up a very different challenge for all Indian Americans in America, because we have prospered, not because we are good looking or very nice people, because we performed, we delivered. As a senator once had told me, that we love you Indians as immigrants to this community because you are professionals, you are educated, you work hard, you have family values, you take care of your children, you are in the highest median income bracket. You are not a law and order problem anywhere as an immigrant community. But you have seen the trend, how Indians are being singled out for attack, be that religious attacks on temples, which has really increased a lot, the hate attacks on Indian temples, and individual Indians. This is the most important thing, particularly also when so many Indians are head of many companies in America. And Indians are doing well in every single aspect of life. economic, social, political, and otherwise. Yes, one area where Indians suffer is the lack of political engagement at the grassroots level in American social and political setup. That is essential. And I'm glad to say many Indians are now stepping up to participate in the local political elements. But then why? Why is America so stuck in attacking Indians? Now, we all know that Democratic Party had support of more than 80% Indians. Some of us who are Republicans, we wondered why, especially when the Democratic Party was systematically attacking India. And it is an ally of Congress Party whose role in Indian development you know so well, and I don't have to narrate it. Now comes the other side, the Chinese equation. As an element of Shatrubodh, we know China has always been inimical to India's interests, starting way back. China has always believed that India is their biggest threat in Asia. As the saying goes, you can't have two swords in the same sheath. That's what is important for China to understand. And some of you have heard it before, and I say this again today. I have felt that to counter European geopolitical belligerence in dominating the world, it is imperative that President Xi recognizes this very single element, that India has no territorial or aggressive intentions towards China. In reality, it is China that is beset with that mindset of treating India as an enemy. Remember, Tibet, China has forcibly occupied it, and how it has gone around Pakistan to belittle and control, manipulate India. We also know by evidence that China is spending a lot of money to demonize Indians in American academia and media. Chinese have significant influence in Western American media, Western and American media. And using bots, they are very cleverly spreading messages against Hindus and Sanatanis and Bharatiyas and Indians, Indian Americans. This is a very known element. It's not a secret. Now you look at the foreign minister of China, Mr. Wang Yi, visited India to ease tensions. Mr. Jaishankar made a very powerful statement that our differences must not turn into disputes and competition need not become a conflict. But that, if you analyze it clearly, that's exactly what happens in real life. It is always the differences in business and differences in cultural way of life causes disputes. That's what China-India relationship is all about. That's what India-US relationship is all about. You are allowing differences to become a dispute. And then competition is critical. We know that when Prime Minister Modi visited the White House during Trump 2.0 time, they wanted to increase the trade relationship from current $100 billion to $500 billion. But who began to squeeze whose arms? We know that. We know Mr. Trump has been remarkably belligerent against India ever since Operation Sindoor happened and his claims about that. Many people have said that India should have handled Trump smartly. Of course, it is true. Every time it is true. You have to be smart about that. But the major threat for Mr. Modi to make a call to Trump has one big element. Nobody knows what Trump will say in social media after Modi's call. I have no hesitation to say that Trump will say Modi was begging for peace. Modi begged me for this. Modi begged me for that. And that makes it difficult for Prime Minister Modi to take the initiative and picking up the phone and calling him because of Trump's uncertainty of what he will say, how he will relate it to the world. And let's face it very clear. Mr. Trump, as I said in his conversation with Putin, that a master spy was dealing with the deal maker. So Mr. Trump is a deal maker. He's in a public spat with anybody, everybody, all the time. And you cannot get into a social media war with Mr. Trump. He is bound to win. Let's give him the due credit for being what he is. So, as part of Shatrubodh and Purvapaksh, what do we do in this scenario? What I feel that somewhere along the line, the rise of India is irritating the traditional, you know, traditional people who hold the position of power. Remember President Obama? He had proposed a G2 of America and China. When there was a public uproar, then that idea was shut down. But remember one thing, if that idea was floated by President Obama, that means whatever is known as the powers that be, whether it's deep state or Chinese CCP or Chinese Communist Party or the Chinese administration, they do believe at the world's two largest economies, who is their biggest threat? Here is the elephant marching very confidently, marching very forward, who has a prime minister who is setting an agenda, a geopolitical agenda for India to be what it can be in the year 2047, and how the strategic autonomy in areas of defense and space has been laid down by Prime Minister Modi for 2035. Both America and China view India a remarkably a non-Christian nation, non-Islamic nation, a nation that stands on its own pride and its own culture and ethics, is making a determined move forward. So, China and USA have vested interest in keeping India behind. Remember one thing, India is the only country that can, it's not challenge what Mr. Jaishankar was saying. It's India's aspiration to grow and achieve its full potential. I can tell you one thing for sure, and I repeatedly say this to you. Please look up 1996 or sometime around that, how Nancy Pelosi, the congresswoman, was lamenting on the day that US trade deficit with China had hit approximately $40 billion plus. I was asked by several people in this country, why doesn't your country take at least 10% of what is going to China when they opened up the economy and everything was going to China for manufacturing? If India had succeeded in taking 10% of what was going to China, today potentially India could easily be sitting at a $10 trillion economy. But it didn't happen. You know why? Because at that time, the ruling party in India, 1996 onwards, they were of the dispensation, controlled by communist support and everything else, that we don't want American help. How many of you remember that when the nuclear deal was done and then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had signed the deal, the Communist Party had made the statement, a public statement, that the nuclear power deal signed by America is anti-Islamic. Think about it. Anti-Islamic. But none of them have anything to say when Pakistan openly sleeps with America to let America do what America wants to do in that region, whether it is the recent airstrikes allowed by Pakistan land space in Iran or capturing Osama bin Laden. I believe it was not, that Pakistan was not ignorant of American attack or to pick up Osama bin Laden. Pakistan had a complicit role in it. So Pakistan Defense Minister has always said that we have been doing the dirty job of West and America for the last 30 years. So it extracts its pound of flesh. And Pakistan also plays to China to curtail and be a constant irritant in the eyes for India. So this particular thing is very important. So while India wants to turn to China in the hope that China will become friendly, but do not forget, whether it's rare earths or opening the market or tunnel drilling machines, the economic agenda does not fudge the political and diplomatic reality, because both China and America are conjoined to curtail, contain, and derail Bharat's progress. That's my agenda. And I would say that India has to be remarkably very careful. Atmanirbharta comes with Atmasamman. You cannot let Atmasamman be suffering because of trying to attain Atmanirbharta. And that's the message that I'm trying to say. As I always say also, that every disaster offers an opportunity. And this is the time for Bharat to play the real role, not trying to pussyfoot or pacify either or. Your agenda is critical. Maintaining your agenda is critical. Maintaining your goals is important. And not to buckle down to any pressure is the key. And that holds true for every single Indian. Not to compromise. Remember, you cannot have a compromise with a drop of poison in a gallon of milk. Think about it. And I think China and USA are trying their level best to squeeze India into a trap. And this is a time for India to break free from the trap. How it will happen, we all know how it can be done. Let's talk about it more when we talk next. As I always say, Satyameva Jayate, and for Satya to triumph, you have to stand up and fight for it. Thank you.